What if the injury that rocked Boston didn't just sideline Jayson Tatum, but shattered the blueprint for a dynasty? In a cold, calculated tone that offered more ambiguity than assurance, Celtics president Brad Stevens stood before the media and dropped a bomb masked as caution. When asked if there was any timeline for Tatum's return following his devastating Achilles tear, his response was simple but chilling. "We don't and we won't. No forecast, no promise. Not even a hint." And suddenly, one uncomfortable question started echoing louder through Boston and across the league. What if Jayson Tatum doesn't play next season at all? Stevens' refusal to give even a tentative return date wasn't just about protecting Tatum. They're buying an alibi. And the timing of the Porzingis and Jrue Holiday trades, not a coincidence. Stripping away to veteran anchors just days after confirming that their franchise player might be out indefinitely signals something far more strategic or sinister. The Celtics didn't simply make cap-clearing moves. They detonated the support system around a recovering superstar. Why? Because they know something we don't. Or they're preparing for a reality they can't admit publicly, that next season might be a wash. Or worse, that Tatum's return, whenever it comes, may not come with the same dominance. Let's talk about the injury that no one wants to dissect out loud. An Achilles tear is not just another rehab timeline. It's a legacy killer. It's the one injury that rewrites careers more than any other. Kevin Durant came back, but only after a full year out and a slow reintegration. Kobe Bryant was never the same. DeMarcus Cousins, forgotten. And Tatum, whose game relies heavily on shiftiness, first steps, and body control, could face the same unforgiving reality. So when Stevens says baby steps, he's not exaggerating. He's bracing everyone for a marathon, or maybe a reroute. Here's the twist no one is acknowledging. If the Celtics truly believed Tatum would return in time to compete next season, they wouldn't be dismantling the core now. Teams don't pull the plug on championship-caliber rosters for luxury. Tax relief, unless they're betting on a longer rebuild. And if Tatum's absence is that long, how long is too long? At what point do whispers begin that Boston is quietly transitioning away from the Tatum-Brown era? Could Jaylen Brown be quietly reassuming the role of the franchise cornerstone? After all, he's the one already back in the gym, already prepping for training camp, already carrying the responsibility. Tatum, meanwhile, fades further into the unknown. The NBA is a business, and Boston's front office is treating this like one. Porzingis gone, Holiday likely gone, Tatum, paused indefinitely. Fans are being asked to be patient, but the team itself is slamming the brakes and flipping the long-term switch. Brad Stevens said it clearly, almost too clearly. We knew this was coming. This is no longer about preserving Jayson Tatum's health. It's about preserving the franchise's identity. Without Tatum, the Celtics are rudderless, unless Brad Stevens believes in something else entirely. Youth, flexibility, a new future built around Brown and cheaper, younger talent. Is this the Celtics waving the white flag for 2025? Or are they laying the groundwork for the most controversial pivot in franchise history? One where Tatum's role is redefined the moment he steps back on the court. Did the Celtics just signal a full reset? The shocking trade move nobody saw coming? And what it really means for Boston's future? The Celtics waited until the cameras turned away from the NBA draft spotlight to make one of their most quietly explosive moves in recent memory. A trade so subtle on the surface, yet potentially seismic underneath, that most fans shrugged it off. But they shouldn't have, because if you look closely, Boston may have just tipped its hand about something far bigger. This isn't a retooling. It might be a rebuild disguised as patience. On paper, the Celtics simply swapped the no 32 pick to the Orlando Magic for the no's 46 and 57 picks, plus 2 future second-rounders in 2026 and 2027. That's the kind of quiet maneuvering teams do all the time. But context is everything. And this move didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened hours after Boston selected Hugo Gonzalez, a raw but tantalizing wing from Spain. And just days after unloading both Kristaps, Porzingis, and Jrue Holiday in cost-cutting trades, add it all up. And this looks less like finesse and more like surrender. Let's be honest, second-round picks rarely shape championship teams. They're dart throws. And Brad Stevens just loaded his arm with 10 of them through 23-2. So ask yourself, why would a team in win-now mode give up a high-upside player at no 32 a slot, often used to snag overlooked gems in exchange for more long-term lottery tickets, with Jayson Tatum's Achilles injury potentially sidelining him for the entire season? And with no timeline even hinted at, it's clear the Celtics aren't expecting to compete at the same level next year. But what if it goes deeper? What if they're planning for the possibility that he never returns as the same player? Achilles injuries don't just delay careers, they alter them. And the front office knows that, which is why they're stacking assets instead of players. If Tatum's recovery takes longer, or if his explosiveness doesn't fully return, Boston needs a new foundation, and they're building it, one second-rounder at a time. In the middle of all this uncertainty, one thing is becoming clear. Jaylen Brown is quietly stepping into the franchise's spotlight. Whether he asked for it or not, while Tatum rehabs in silence, Brown is back in the gym, ahead of schedule from a knee procedure, and already the focal point of a restructured roster. He's now the face of a team that has no choice but to pivot. But here's the uncomfortable twist. Is Brown just a bridge to the next era, or the cornerstone of it? Because if the Celtics are collecting picks instead of pieces, Brown may not be the centerpiece of the plan, just the highest value trade chip in it. Many hailed the selection of Hugo Gonzalez at No. 28 as a steal, a hyper-athletic 6 feet 7 inches wing, with defensive tools and flashes of offensive creativity. But he's also 18. He's a long-term bet. This wasn't a pick made by a team trying to repeat as champions in 2025. It was a pick made by a franchise that's willing or preparing to be patient. Add in the fact that Boston passed on Noah Penda at 32, player who had been linked to them during workouts, and you start to see the pattern. Upside over readiness. Assets over certainties. Flexibility over firepower. Celtics make their boldest statement yet after Jrue Holiday trade, and it starts with pick No. 57. What if the most revealing move of the Celtics offseason wasn't trading Jrue Holiday, but drafting a nearly unknown Ukrainian guard at the very bottom of the NBA draft? With the 57th pick, Boston selected Max Shulga, a name that barely registered on national radars. But make no mistake, this pick wasn't random. It was a declaration, a signal fired directly from Brad Stevens' war room. Defense no longer defines this team. While most fans focused on the headline moves, shipping out Kristaps, Porzingis, and Jrue Holiday in the wake of Jayson Tatum's injury, something far more interesting happened quietly. It's about future identity in a league increasingly dominated by spacing and shooting. The Celtics just made it clear they're choosing offense over grit, flash over grind, firepower over fundamentals, and that should terrify anyone still holding on to the belief that defense wins championships. Jrue Holiday wasn't just a defender. He was the defensive heart of the Celtics, a disruptor, a tone setter, a two-way warrior who could swallow elite guards whole. Shipping him out was already a controversial move, but replacing his minutes with Max Shulga, that's not a like-for-like swap, a movement shooter, a smooth off-ball guard who can curl around screens and hit from deep with frightening consistency. Last season at VCU, he hit nearly 39% of his threes on high volume and posted 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and almost 2 steals per game. He's not just a shooter. He's a cerebral connector with elite feel. This is the real conversation no one wants to have. Did Boston just walk away from the identity that won them the 2024 title? Defense, depth, discipline, those traits defined their run, and now they're being replaced by flexibility, youth, and long-range upside. The Celtics are betting the future, not on maintaining their dominance, but on reinventing it entirely. And in that context, the Shulga pick isn't about a 57th overall role player. It's a symbol, a clear strategic pivot from what they were. Probably not. He'll likely land a two-way deal, spend time developing in Maine, and work behind the scenes. But that's not the point. Every dynasty has inflection points, small, almost invisible moments where the philosophy shifts. This is one of them. Boston is no longer just drafting talent. They're drafting style. And in Shulga, they saw a player who fits exactly what this next iteration of the Celtics will be. A movement-based, high-pace, shot-hunting machine designed to outscore the best in the league. Defense will take a back seat. Lineup versatility will hinge on offensive gravity. Rotations will favor floor spacers over lockdown defenders. If fans are looking for a Jrue Holiday replacement in the traditional sense, they won't find one, because Brad Stevens isn't replacing Holiday, he's erasing his role entirely. And it's about trajectory. The Celtics are no longer trying to maintain their championship formula. They're rewriting it, one pick, one trade, one shooter at a time.